Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the highest quality woven guitar, bag, and camera straps you'll ever see. Native Sons straps are handmade one at a time in the USA with unparalleled love and care. Click the link in the description to check out their new expanded lineup featuring all new 3-inch guitar straps. And remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, Shitpost Friday!
Hello everybody, Brad the Guitarologist here. It's time for everybody's favorite guitar news show, Shitpost Friday. First up this Shitpost Friday, I'm not going to dwell on the news for all that long. I am a liar! But I do want to cover a couple of things. First of all, a piece of news that we have been following for a long time on this channel, ever since June of last year. It's a story of Fender's UK offices being raided. Way back in June of last year, we took a look at this a couple of different times on Shitpost Fridays, and came to the conclusion that what they were basically trying to say in the UK there in their Competition and Markets Authority was that Fender was breaking their laws by using their MAP pricing scheme. And by MAP pricing, I mean minimum advertised pricing, that they pretty much use worldwide as far as I know. Definitely they use that in the United States. Because it's not illegal here, and I would submit to you that it should not be illegal. Over there, they call this retail price fixing. Well, the thing is, it's not price fixing. We discussed this again about a year ago when this raid first occurred on Fender's UK offices, and we talked about the differences between retail price fixing and minimum advertised pricing. Minimum advertised pricing essentially just ensures that all of your dealers don't start a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, particularly in the modern world where we have, you know, instantaneous access to online prices from a number of different places. You've got all kinds of apps that can collate prices from different places, and you can look at it at a glance, and you can basically just choose the one that's cheapest at your fingertips each and every time. What MAP pricing does is it ensures that whenever Fender sells its guitars to all these various dealers, they don't just start trying to race to the bottom on their pricing and compete with each other to such an extent that only 1 or 2 dealers are left standing at the end. Everybody else basically goes out of business or can no longer carry your product. So basically what it does is it protects the little guy. And this is the argument that I tried to make about a year ago or so as to why you should stop making this illegal in the United Kingdom. This actually is doing the very opposite of what it purports to do. It is not helping the little guy. It's not helping the consumer. What it's doing is it's putting out of business all of the little dealers who you normally would be able to walk into their store and chew them down on a price, or you know, maybe get them to throw in a free gig bag. Lots of ways that you can get a deal through a music store. Even if you call up these dealers, you can say, hey, you know, what's your best price on this? And over the phone, they can usually give you a price that's lower than their published or advertised price. Minimum advertised pricing schemes does not preclude somebody from being able to price their stuff lower than the minimum advertised price. All it does is it says that whenever you advertise this product, whether it's online or in print or in some other publication or some other, you know, form, you cannot advertise the price in public lower than the X price that everybody has to advertise it at if you are a Fender dealer, authorized Fender dealer. And, you know, once again, there's a very good reason for that. It protects the dealer network. It protects Fender itself from race to the bottom pricing. It also actually does protect the consumer of Fender products. It protects them on the front end when they go to buy something. And it also protects them on the back end when they go to sell a Fender product. Because if you had this race to the bottom and you had all these dealers going out of business or they could no longer carry Fender products, you would have fewer choices as a consumer of places that you could buy these products from. So you would actually end up with less competition. Secondly, on the back end, whenever you go to sell a Fender product, because they have minimum advertised pricing across the board, you end up with a situation where the market is more stable, where you can trade or sell your used Fender for usually a price that's, you know, a certain percentage points below a brand new one, what a new equivalent one would be. So it actually protects the used market as well. So this is why the Competition and Markets Authority in the United Kingdom should get out of the business of trying to regulate these markets because they're causing more problems than they're actually solving. As far as I'm concerned, that's another reason why the people of the United Kingdom should support Brexit and should get out of these EU-backed schemes such as the Competition and Markets Authority. I don't even think that authority would exist if it had not been for the EU to begin with. So essentially all these regulations come from the EU and are imposed upon the United Kingdom. And if I were you, the people of the UK, I would definitely lobby my government to get rid of the Competition and Markets Authority for that reason. I am no huge Fender apologist. I'm no huge Fender fan. Whenever Fender screws up, you know, I'm probably one of the first to call, or only one to call them out a lot of the times. And, you know, but on this particular thing, I'm with Fender 110%. Now, they did get slapped back, what was it, several months ago, I think back in March or something like that. They got slapped with a £25,000 fine because they allegedly had tried to cover up some information. One of the higher ups in Fender took home with them. They took home like one of their personal notebooks. Whenever the Competition and Markets Authority basically came in and raided without a warrant, mind you, just came into the business and raided and took whatever they wanted to take. But they did not get that notebook because one of the higher ups had taken it to their house. But later on, whenever Fender executives found out about it, they turned it in and said, "Oh, we're sorry about this. This should have gone to you. You guys requested all this stuff, and here's some stuff that you missed." So essentially, they volunteered this and then still got slapped with a fine, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. But this latest development basically has said the Competition and Markets Authority has provisionally decided that between 2013 and 2018, Fender Europe operated a policy designed to restrict competitive online pricing, requiring guitars to be sold at or above a minimum figure. That is not true. Once again, they don't require that their guitars be sold at or above a minimum figure. What they require is that the dealers advertise at a minimum figure. That's a big difference between advertising it and selling it at. I used to run a music store and I know the MAP pricing inside and out, and if you violate it, you can actually have your dealership stripped. And once again, there's a very good reason for that. I wouldn't want Guitar Center, that was just down the street from us. We had Fender, Guitar Center had Fender, I think one other place in our town had Fender at the time. And if it had been a case where where Guitar Center could just buy up a shit ton of Fender stuff and start slinging it out the door for, 10 points over dealer cost, then we would have been out of business. We would have not been able to carry Fender. We would have not been able to support Fender. We would have not been able to compete with Guitar Center anymore because they would have just driven us completely out of the business. And once again, if you get in this race to the bottom on pricing, it affects all of your used pricing as well. So anybody in the market who already has used guitars out there, all their shit is going to be worth a lot less now because you've got Guitar Center blowing the shit out the door for next to nothing. So that is what it's designed to stop. And the Competition and Markets Authority, as far as I'm concerned, should be abolished. I'm an American, so I have no say in this crap. If you guys want to do it over there in the UK, I fully encourage you to. Because this is not me defending Fender. This is me defending the practice of minimum advertised pricing, which is different than retail price maintenance, which is what they have alleged here. So, once again, we have followed this story for a long time, and this seems to be the final outcome of the thing. Almost. We've gotten right up to the penultimate outcome here, which is that they're finally just coming out and alleging that this occurred. This is the result of their year and a half almost long, well, I guess it's more than a year and a half investigation. And yeah, they're basically saying we take allegations of RPM, retail price maintenance, very seriously because it removes one of the benefits of the internet by making it easier to quickly find a better price by shopping around. But that's, again, you might call that a benefit, but that is not a benefit whenever businesses start going out of business. And that is what these large dealers and these large distributors in the EU are counting on. They're counting on all these little guys going out of business because they can't compete. They are not going to be able to compete with this race to the bottom in terms of pricing. So what's going to end up happening is the big distributors like Thomann, some of the other big dealers in the EU will be able to basically wait it out. They'll be able to price all their Fender stuff really at really low margins above dealer costs, and they'll be able to just wait it out until all the little guys just start dropping off and can no longer carry Fender. And then what kind of competition do you think is going to exist in that market? I mean, if you think this through for more than 2 seconds, you will realize that meddling in markets doesn't help you. It actually hurts consumers. The only thing that helps consumers is a free market. That's when government keeps its meddling hands out of the shit and lets it run its course. MAP pricing actually aids the consumer by allowing you more competition. You have more places that you can call, that you can talk to a manager, you can talk to somebody in charge. You can say, hey, what's the I know this is your minimum advertised price, but what's the best price you can give me on this over the phone today? I've got cash. You're certainly going to be able to find better deals now by doing that, by calling up a bunch of places, than you would after all of these small mom and pops have gone out of business and you've only got maybe 1, 2, or 3 distributors in the entire continent. So wait until that happens and see what kind of deals you're going to get. I guarantee you it's going to be a worse deal than you would have gotten now. Invariably, some of you guys are going to be like, this is our country, what do you have? What say do you have in it? Well, I guess about as much say as you guys have in us electing Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump's so welcome here! Which is 0. But I'm trying to encourage you to take a second look at this and understand what you're getting yourselves into when you give this kind of authority to this Competition and Markets Authority or other bureaucracies like this. Usually you end up giving up way more than you end up getting back. They're always going to pat themselves on the back and say, oh, we did a great job. Look at all the companies that we levied fines from because they were all, practicing this insidious retail price maintenance scheme without telling you that what you're calling retail price maintenance is actually minimum advertised pricing, which is standard practice in many other places in the world, including the US, which is the world's largest economy. And hopefully, after Brexit goes through, you guys can figure that stuff out. But from where I'm sitting, albeit a couple thousand miles away, this looks to me like you're going to screw up your small mom and pop guitar businesses. Is what you're going to do, if you haven't already. Also in Fender news, I thought this was an interesting story. Let's see if I can find it again. Here we go. Fender is set to introduce more signature guitars for female artists next year than in its entire 70-year history. CEO Andy Mooney confirms plans for diverse new models. Well, why am I not fucking surprised? And again, I have nothing against female guitarists. I do believe there's a trend toward more female guitarists, but nothing like what Fender has tried to claim in their egg strategy thing. And we did a whole video on that as well, where we basically ripped that to shreds. They basically went to a PR firm called Egg Strategy and they ordered up this study to basically say that most guitars being sold now are being sold to females. And, they had this whole marketing strategy surrounding this where, they would try to make it seem as if more females, more people of color, more, basically minorities and everything were getting into guitar, which is fine. Again, I said that at the time that I have no problem with any of these groups being in guitar. But it was just, the way that it was done was disingenuous, essentially. And they managed to get a bunch of coverage, a bunch of free coverage, or I say free, they did pay the marketing firm, but they managed to get a bunch of coverage on the back of this, and it was published everywhere. New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, you name it, it was published in it, and they got a bunch of publicity off of it. There was like a 5 or 10 minute segment on NPR that we basically sat and tore apart one day on this channel, which was pretty interesting. I encourage you guys, if you haven't followed any of that stuff, go back and check all that stuff out because it's pretty interesting and pertinent to what's going on now. But this is the latest development in this, and it's basically saying, Fender's lineup of signature artists includes electric guitar players from a multitude of genres and backgrounds. Yet there's one thing nearly all of them have in common, a Y chromosome. But that's all set to change in 2020.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
Well, now what will be interesting, when we see all of these changes come forth, how many of these female signature guitars will actually end up selling? Now, the thing is, Fender, being a private company, they are not going to publish probably, you know, very detailed sales figures for all of their guitars across the board, but it would be very interesting to see whether these female signature instruments keep up with their male counterpart instruments. You know, and I'm cheering for them. I hope they do. But at the same time, I'm suspicious of whether they'll be able to sell enough of them to really justify keeping them going. But so I really didn't know this, but they're claiming in this article that only 3 female artists have gotten signature Fender guitars in the past 7 decades, and those include a Bonnie Raitt Stratocaster, an Avril Lavigne Squire Telecaster signature, and a New Porter acoustic for Avril Lavigne, and also the Mary Kay Stratocaster. And then they give the caveat of actually that was the first custom Strat ever produced rather than a signature model. But they don't know quite yet who is going to get signature models. So basically they're just saying we just need a bunch of women. They're just saying we don't care who it is, just get us some women signatures. They give a list here of possible candidates for future signature guitars, and they include Tash, Sultana, Susan Tedeschi, Anna Calvi, Courtney Barnett, Anna Popovic, who's awesome by the way, check her out, Anna Popovic, Lindsey Jordan, Malina Moye, Gina Gleason, Melanie Fay, Ellie Rousel, Emma Ruth Rundle, whoever that is, Sarah Lipstate, Carrie Brownstein, and Marnie Stern. I've only heard of 2 of these people, Anna Popovic and Susan Tedeschi, and Tash Sultana. I've heard of those 3. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be buying one anyways because I'm not, you know, I usually don't buy new Fenders. So it's just I'm not the target market for this stuff. So what do I know, I guess. But it'd be interesting, like I said, to see what. First of all, which one of these ladies gets signature Fender, and second of all, whether they'll sell in enough numbers to really justify having another SKU, you know, in there. So let me know what you guys think about this, about the whole move towards, you know, female playership. Do you think this is real? Do you think this is something that is just made up, that they're trying to put the cart before the horse so that they can try to, you know, stimulate the market into moving in the female direction, or do you think this is legitimate, that there are actually all these females out there, you know, this huge market wanting to play guitar, and they just don't have these signature guitars that they can purchase yet? You know, let me know, what do you think about this? All right, so that'll do it for the news. Okay, I've had a lot of viewer mail sent to me over the last month or so, and I haven't done a viewer mail segment in probably about that long, so let's go and open some viewer mail. Here's a package from John Mellor, or John Miller, I'm not sure what that is, out in California. All right, John sent a t-shirt. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay. That's cool, dude. Yeah, this is the surf t-shirt that he said he was going to send me. This is cool. So I guess this is his business. What is this? Wavelengths Surf. And check out this back. I love this. That's cool. That's super cool. Actually, what I'd have preferred to have that on the front. That looks awesome. But yeah, I will definitely wear that. John, thank you, man. I appreciate that very much. Super cool. But yeah, he was like, hey, do you do any surfing? And I was like, no, man, I'm in Kentucky. Where the hell am I going to surf? I guess I could go surf on the Ohio River. You know, the falls of the Ohio are right here in Louisville. Maybe I could just surf down the falls. But no, he was like, oh, I want to send you a surf t-shirt. So yeah, very cool, man. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate that. Also earlier this week, if you guys follow the channel, you will know that I was redoing a junky guitar I found, you know, in an antique store. And I did a video on it, and you know, it got a really good response. Everybody was like, man, that thing sounds really great. And this guy from Indianapolis said he wanted to come down and buy it off of me this past week, and he did. He drove all the way down from Indianapolis and bought it off of me. And he even gave me this thing, which I thought was really cool. He said, here, I want to give you this gift, you know, since you're into unusual and weird tuners, and also you're into vinyl. He knew that about me, so he said, here, have one of these. And he gave me this. This is actually a tuner on vinyl, so you've got all the 6 strings of your guitar, and there's some instructions on how to tune on the back of the card there. But what I thought was really cool about this is that you could use this to actually adjust your turntable. If since you know the appropriate pitch that's on here, you could see if your turntable needs to be adjusted by comparing this, to your strobe tuner or whatever. If your turntable doesn't have a strobe, you could have put this on and then just kind of tuned your table also. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, thanks a lot, David. I really appreciate that, and I hope you enjoy that guitar, man. Speaking of customers, another customer dropped by the other day named Eric Stein, and he dropped off one of his amps to be repaired. I do that sometimes for the local guys, even if I'm pretty swamped. I try to squeeze in people if they know somebody that I've worked with before and stuff like that. I try to accommodate my local people. But he gave me one of his CDs, so I thought you guys could go check them out. If they have some stuff online, you can go see what they're all about. Also, he gave me this really interesting disc, and what this says on it, I don't know if you're going to be able to read this, but right there where it says FF Records, it explains what's on this disc and how the disc was made. I'll read it to you. It says, this record was hand-shaped and individually cut in real time using a 1940s Presto 75A recording lathe. It is a unique piece. It is not the same as a traditional pressed record, and it was not made in a factory. It was hand-carved from an 8-foot sheet of polycarbonate plastic, shaped and sanded, waxed and cut in real time by one person. So that's really cool. It's like the amount of time that went into making that is just pretty astonishing. But this was made in Murfreesboro, Tennessee at Funky Frankenstein, I guess Funky Frankenstein Records, funkyfrankenstein.com. What I thought was really interesting about this is it says, if your record sounds inconsistent or absolutely horrible when you put it on, this is because the needle is riding on the horns between the grooves. All you need to do is just kind of bump your needle and it should drop down into the groove and it'll sound good after that. So this should be a really interesting one for me to check out, and I appreciate Eric for giving me that. Thanks a lot, man. Also the other day, as you guys know, I have an affinity for Goodwill, so I went to a Goodwill and ran across a couple of cool things. I ran across, first of all, this. This is not a vinyl box set. This is actually on chrome cassette, if you can see there. Cassettes have kind of made a comeback in a big way. I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of this, but this has got a lot of stuff on it. This is 4 cassettes, and the cassettes are actually chrome cassettes, so they're a little better quality than you usually might get on cassette releases, but from back in the day. But nice big book, great big booklet. I think I gave like $1.99 for this whole set, so it was just a steal, I thought. And got a little, what is it, publisher's index with it, and then you've got the 4 cassettes as well. So really cool little box set, and I just couldn't resist it for no more than they were asking for it at Goodwill. I figured, why the hell not. Also, while I was there the other day, I got these CDs, and man, CDs, I'm telling you what, man, now is a pretty good time to pick up a lot of CDs. If you guys don't mind CDs, and if you just, you're looking for high quality copies of some older stuff that you're looking to get again, like I'm kind of doing. I had my CD case stolen out of my car a few years back, and there were CDs in there that I have not had since, and I've always wanted to kind of get back. And this was kind of a case of this was one of those that I wanted to replace. This is Sepultura's Beneath the Remains. Great album. Really, really good album. I'm not sure if you'd call Sepultura death metal or what, but hardcore metal or something like that. But I've always enjoyed Sepultura, and this was a masterpiece. But yeah, it's in mint condition, and I mean, for like, I don't know what it was. They're like $1.99 or something. So for $2, I get a good copy of that. Also picked up this Corrosion of Conformity, and they had a lot of stuff, man, there on CD this time. I kind of took it easy on the CDs. I've got a couple of more viewer mails here. I've got one. This one's from Roy Sheeran in Redondo Beach, California. All right, looks like we got letter. Oh, okay, I remember what this is now. Very cool. This is going to be awesome. Hey Brad, I'm Roy Sheeran from LA, longtime viewer and fan of your channel. After 15 years in the biz, I recently had to close my small electronic repair business and soon after sell my home of 30 years. Time to get the fuck out of LA, California. I don't blame you a fucking bit, dude. It's funny, I was just listening to a live stream by Razor Fist. You guys know the guy Razor Fist on here on YouTube? He does a lot of Metal Mythos, really cool videos. Anyway, I was watching his live stream and he was kind of bitching about that. He was all the people who were fleeing California because you can't live there anymore. The taxes are so high. It's so the housing market is just skyrocketed, just out of proportion, and nobody can live there. You can't afford to be there anymore, and it's just and the people who have stayed behind are crazy. So, you know, no offense to you guys who live in California. I know a lot of really good people who live in California, and hell, there's millions of you. So, you know, there's bound to be a few of you. But shit. You know, it's just like, it's like James Hetfield said in I think, an interview with, who was the interview? Oh, it's on a Joe Rogan podcast. James Hetfield, he was talking about how crazy people had gotten, man. And he was like, you can't hardly say anything anymore, you know. He's got all these, without people jumping your ass. And
kind of got sick of the Bay Area, the attitudes of people there. You know, they talk about how diverse they are, and it's fine if you're diverse like them, you know, but showing up with a deer on the bumper doesn't fly in Marin County, you know. My form of eating organic doesn't vibe with theirs, you know. But there was just I don't know. I felt that there was an elitist attitude there, that if you weren't their way politically, their way, you know, environmentally, all of that, you know, you were looked down upon.
He was like, I just had to get out of there. Had to get out of San Francisco. I think he has sent me a pedal. But let's maybe some other things here too. Forceps, better than needle nose. Yeah, man, for grappling onto some things, forceps are definitely nice. Yeah, there are a lot of instances where you could use a good set of, oh, yeah. Yeah, he sent me some forceps. Or as we used to call them, roach clips. Or hemostats. We call them hemostats too. But yeah, these are really good for like if you're holding on to wires and you want to solder to, or you want to reach far down into something, because these have really nice long needle nose on there. So that's really cool. Thank you, dude. That's awesome. That's really cool. Man, you know, and just as always too, I'm just incredibly humbled by the fact that so many of you guys choose to send stuff in, you know, like this. It's really awesome. Okay, so this is a DC power supply. It's labeled, and this must be the pedal. So this one I might actually end up breaking out into a separate video so that we can do a whole demo and stuff on this and just see what it sounds like, because I'm not going to be able to give it as much time as I otherwise would have liked to, you know, just on a Shitpost Friday video. So it could be that I split it out into a separate video, or maybe I'll just do the demo portion in a separate video over on, maybe on channel 2, or who knows, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Oh yeah. Okay, so does that say RKS drive? Yeah, it feels nicely made. It's got looks like you've got a photo here of the back of it. And it looks just 100% hand wired there. Very cool. Tony Stark built it in a cave with a bunch of scraps. Okay, so these are instructions also on how to remove the circuit board if I have to do anything to it. Super cool. Okay, this is, and we'll probably get, like I said, we'll get more into this in a separate video. But for now, I just want to say thank you very much. And yeah, we'll definitely have to check this booger out. But yeah, thanks a lot, Roy, man. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. I've had this sitting around for a little bit as well. This one came via airmail, and where did this come from? This came all the way from, oh my God, is this from Australia? Old Beach, Australia, from Mike Kelly. I remember this. This is, okay. These are some plans that Mike had drawn up for a guitar that he was building. And he just went ahead and printed up another copy for me, which I thought was really awesome. He's got all of the I mean, this is good work. He's got everything CAD drawn here, it looks like. MSK guitars, Mark 1. Let's see if I can get this all on camera. Hang on. Yeah, it's really big. I'm not gonna be able to get this all on camera. MSK guitars, Mark 1. I'm gonna find a place for this. I'm not sure exactly where I can put it. I don't have a wall space this big, I don't think. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Right there. Right up. Oh, I think I've got one. I think it'll fit right off camera, right over here in my space here. So yeah, that will definitely go up on my wall. Thank you very much, man. Let's see. It looks like you've got a little letter here too. It says, "Hey Brad, Mike from Australia here. I was watching one of your vids recently where you restored an old Ampex tape machine preamp, and you commented on not only how cool the super detailed operation manual was, and that was a cool manual, but how nobody provides that level of technical detail in their manuals anymore." And that's true, they don't, because that was an awesome manual. I could have just read the manual all night. So I thought you'd get a kick out of this. It's something I drew up at my home for a bit of fun. Disclaimer, I don't have any CAD experience. This is all drawn one-to-one on Microsoft Publisher. Okay. Massive challenge in itself, yeah. Wow. Super cool, Mike. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. I'll keep this letter with that drawing, dude. That's so cool. So remind me, Mike, what's the deal with your guitars, MSK guitars? Is that are you going to put those into production or what? Let me know down in the comments. All right, I've got one more box opening for you guys, and it's just over here off camera. Let's check it out. Actually, I think I changed my mind on that. I'm going to break this last box off into its own video, I believe, over on Channel 2 probably. Also includes a lot of Shitpost Friday extras over there. If you guys want to see all that, go over to Channel 2 and subscribe over there. Alright guys, that'll do it for this Shitpost Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit subscribe down below, please. Also hit the bell to receive all notifications. A lot of you guys don't get notified unless you hit that bell. But for now, y'all take care.